Good morning. Good morning, all. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Holy shit, look at my hair. Well, I should really pay attention to to what I look like. You know what? Just for now, because it's the cold, the windows open anyway. I'm gonna don the hat today because it's cold outside. Look, it's all like foggy and stuff, and cold. And I left my saw out in the rain last night. The saw's all mad at me, like, dude, why'd you leave me out in the rain? Why'd you do it? And it's because I forgot. I neglected it. Me, the teacher of animism, neglected. Okay, I'm not going to go for the hat now. You guys are going to have to do with it. The purveyor of animism abandoned his saw. What we as children were learning to do, to see the living world for its to see life itself everywhere, the personification of nature, we abandoned that when we congealed. And I blame the schools. I blame the schools. That's right. I unleash victimhood upon everyone, and I blame the schools. Because why would I blame a parent who sends their kid to school? Why would I blame a parent who pays taxes? Why would we blame the people when we can blame a hypothetical institution? Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? Because you parents, a lot of your parents, you're badass. You're doing everything you can. And you're like, dude, don't give me shit. They go to school, James, because that's the world. And I get it. If anyone's giving you shit, it's your electrical field trying to shed. And that's something we're going to talk about today. Today's episode 190, The Catcher and the Witness. Hope my levels are okay. I haven't seen my teammates text me. They may not even know I'm doing a live stream. I tell you, the schedule's been really shoddy lately. I gotta admit, so many things have been happening that have made it that way. But I appreciate those who are sticking by. I really do. That balance looks good. That level looks... Yeah, I think the levels are probably going to be just fine. I bet you Livestream will tell me. There's Shitmoth there saying hello to Denise. Hi, Denise. Greg May, experience of having to clean the rust off is the best teacher. Yeah, that's a good one, Greg May. Philharmonics sounds good. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. Phi Harmonics. Oh, forgive me, Phi. Phi Harmonics. That's even better. There is David Barsky. Good morning, David Barsky. I bet you have some vitriol for me. And I am here to spread that to all. Holy shit. I am digging my transcontinental basement canal project. That's going well. Looking forward to sharing that. Hi, Catherine Hopkins. Thanks for letting me know that. Catherine, thanks a lot for doing all the work on my website. It works great. Guys, if you enter I am with no space, IAM, all is one word, I am. You get, I am, as James D would say, you get 33% off in the store. It's a great opportunity for you to buy. You can get all 5 of my books and actually save money from the sale that I used to have. You're saving more money now because now we have this coupon. And anyway, it's even better. So if you go to jtrue.com right now, you too can experience the wonderment of waiting for the post office to bring you a frickin' book. And that is happening too. People in Scotland have gotten their books. People in England have gotten their books. And people in Alabama have gotten their books. People in Oregon have gotten their books. And people like 3 hours away from me still do not have their books. That is happening. And I've been told there's a delay. But that's not your fault, your vitriol. I can take on your vitriol. And how I'll do that is that if you're tired of waiting, I will... Oh, this is going to hurt. I will give you a refund. And that book will come to you still. But who knows how long it'll take. And I'm sorry about that. If anyone wants to have a book faster... I would order it through Amazon because honestly, Amazon seems to have a priority with the post office. I send mail the exact same way Amazon sends mail, and sometimes Amazon gets delayed too. By the way, so it's not even they are all powerful. But anyway, it's some vitriol with the books, because all I want to do is get you guys books. That's all I want. Thanks for saying nice sweater. Flat Accord, this sweater I've had since high school. Pretty amazing it's still around. I ordered all 3 of them. Thank you for the item. Thank you, Shiva Shampoo. Yeah, I am. That works on any. You don't have to order all 5. You can order 1 book and say, I want 33% discount. And chabam! There it is. That's how powerful 33 is. Illuminati confirmed, right? What are Alabamians going to do with a book? Hey, Lit Ticker, you're the one walking around with a PhD title, which already tells me you could be an idiot. I just didn't mean to call you out, but think about it. There's some good folks in Alabama. Something to consider. Thank you, Lorna. Worth the wait, says Lorna Hartley. Appreciate that. Guys, I wanted to not even do a show today, but since I didn't do a show yesterday, I figured I would just ask, like, does anyone have any topics? Because typically I sort of like to kind of think about what it is I'm going to talk about. And although I can't really say that I didn't think about it, because honestly, once I posted this thing asking for topics, now I have like a ton of topics. So I've actually had plenty to think about with coming in here. But I figured that's what we would do today. And before we do that, so many people ask so many times, James, can you catch us up? What if we're new to your work? Can you catch us up? And the answer is no. There's no way I can catch you up in an hour. Do you guys realize this is episode 190, which means that there are over 190 hours of solid, when I say solid, I mean that in a very loose way, solid content, 190 hours in 1 year has been put out. And it would be impossible for me to encapsulate all of that into it, which is why I write books. And that's why there are 5 books. And I think the best way to catch up is to briefly give you a summary on what these books are about and how it pertains to where we're at. If you've seen me before, I still think that you will find this entertaining, which is weird I'm saying that because I have no idea what exactly it is I'm about to say. Someone just insulted me. I can hear it. I can feel it. Her name is Jen. She just insulted me. It's great. You see, when you clean out your field, when you clean out your core shame, when the only shame you have is legitimate, like authentic shame, and you have your core shame, which is this beautiful thing that maybe we'll get to today, you are able to listen to shame more. It becomes more effective. And when Jen insulted me, it felt more like a tickle. It was like a tickle, because I realized that she was worshiping me in the insult. It's so funny how it works that way. Our own David said that I was too big for my britches. And when he told me that, he's like, you're so arrogant, you're so big for your britches, you think you're all that and whatever. And as I'm listening to him, what I'm hearing him say to me is, your energy, your size is so big, it bothers me. And I need you to shrink. I demand that you shrink. You are too big for your britches. Your Johnson is too large, James. It is so large that it is ripping out of your pants. And this is supposed to be an insult. And this is why I keep telling people that, guys, worship is the sending of your attention, the sending of your witness into a certain object, thing, idea, right? You could throw it away into hypotheticals. You could worship a hypothetical all day long, special relativity. You could die never knowing the entire time that it was all bullshit, but you can worship all that time. You can dump it into that core, to that hypothetical core, and let it deteriorate. This idea we have that when someone likes you, it's positive energy, but when someone hates you, it's taking energy away, is only true if you believe that. Isn't that funny? It's only true if you actually believe that. Because when you believe that, when you tune in to Jen, or when you tune in to someone telling your britches are too big, you could then say, oh, this is where I'm supposed to lose energy, and then you will start to lose energy. Which brings up the very, very first question that jumped out at me when I asked for topics, which is a talk about fear, James. What is fear? And fear is nervous energy that you've decided to not own. Courage is nervous energy that you have decided to own. Fear and courage both come from nervous energy. hang on. What makes that energy nervous is your lack of practice holding that much energy. That's what makes it nervous. And when you feel nervous, it's because it's the first time you've held this much energy and you don't know if it's okay. You don't trust yourself. You may not trust yourself. You may not feel worthy. You may have been brought up on an appetite of shedding your electricity for profit, of masochizing yourself. We saw this last night. Of creating a vortex where you're looking for opportunities to victimize yourself, to defeat yourself, to enslave yourself, right? That we look for these things. We talked about this Monday, right? Oh, please don't tattle me. Don't tattle me. I'm really into freedom as I'm tied to this stake. Don't you know that, right? Courage, fear, simply the amalgamation of that same energy. What is that energy? Besides nervous, which is new, novelty. Nervousness is the novelty of it. I've never had this much current through me. I don't have a lot of practice with this current through me. So underneath that nervousness, it's just energy. All it is energy. Where does that energy come from? It's coming from your adrenals. It's coming from your cortisol. It's coming from your adrenaline, right? It's coming from your polyvagal system constricting. It's cutting off your digestion. It's shutting down your salivary actions. It's rerouting power from its auxiliaries. Hey, we're shutting down the holodeck and the casino on deck 6 because we need to route that power into the engine core and into the shields. And your capacity for your warp core is going to be determined by how much warp core you've held in the past. Can you stably hold that much energy? If you can't, you're going to be looking for a place to offload it. An angry person who is so concerned with that much energy that they're holding would offload it by punching someone. They would be so, I don't know how to hold this nervous energy, kaboom! And the second they punch someone, that energy is transferred. It is handed over, and that person now no longer has power. In fact, not only do they no longer have power, but they may end up feeling guilty for it. It may end up changing the rest of their life because now they're afraid to confront. They're afraid to hold any kind of power that comes close to that exchange because of what they did with it, because of their choices with it. And if you really want to know what fear is, it's the alchemy of all your transactions that you've ever had with nervous energy throughout your life. That's all fear is. Courage is the alchemy of all your transactions that you've ever had with energy your entire life. That's what courage is. Courage. To not wear a hat. Fear. To wear a hat. Both are the transmutation of energy based on how comfortable I am with that charge, with your witness. Before I turned on the camera, I didn't feel any charge from how I looked or how my hair might look. Your witness fired off those fields and is causing me to feel energy from that. That's why when Jen insults me this morning, before the live stream starts, Jen has gone out of her way 15 minutes before to come to the live stream to sit and chat and wait for me. That is her preparing, giving witness, giving energy to it. So even though she's typing insults, what she's truly doing is paying homage. She's putting offerings in the plate. And that energy, whether it be negative or positive comments, is just amperage. It's amperage, and I feel that anyway. Even if everyone said, oh, James, I really love the way your hair felt or the way your hair looks, and I know no one says that, it would not affect the nervousness that I would feel from that new kind of energy. And it's only through practice, it's only through weightlifting that we can maintain and hold that and carry that through. That's really the main difference between all people, is what was the amalgamated transaction history of all of their energy. What did they do with their energy? Did they keep it? Did they dispel it, right? Did they tick it off in nervousness? Did they tick it off in self-doubt? Did they self-deprecate themselves? What is it that they did with that energy? Were they generous with others with it? And so back to what we're doing here, the Catcher in the Rye, we are catching up. And the very, very first thing that I did when it came to releasing my work or processing this thing is I had to clear the core shame that was haunting me. The shame that had been installed is easier to shed, that I need the shame of what I own to come to the foreground. And I can't let that shame come to the foreground until I shed the bullshit shame in its way. That bullshit shame is actually doing me a favor. It's helping me hide from the true core shame that I was feeling. The true things that I'm truly ashamed of. People can put shame on you, but you may not feel shame. So it's repelled. It bounces off. You may feel shame and someone else might inspire that in you and it show you that. And that's what this book is, The Spell of Six Dragons. It has nothing to do with truth. It has nothing to do with the truth movement or with anything having to do with society or government. It's purely about the self. It's about the authentic search for that self in me and the shedding of that shame, the dissonant shame that had been installed on me. And this happened through six dragons. These are all sculptures built in the woods with different people, different gangs. Much like we do dojo now, we would have these sort of woodland gatherings for weeks at a time. People would come and we'd build these things together. And that was trying to show, like, there's a picture of one right there. And then there's a picture of another one right there. And there's a picture of another one right there. And those journeys were a shedding of that society shame. I had a beautiful, beautiful thing happen to me. I was publicly accused of beating my wife. And it was horrifying. It was horrifying to watch my tribe coalesce around that theme. And the abandonment I felt from it, the dissonance of it, even the attempts that I would make to even try and share any part of this at all was an incubator for me, because inside I had this truth, but on the outside I had this witness of people that were penetrating this vulnerable identity that I built up by setting myself into the tribe and allowing it to steep me, to season me. And at no point in that process did I feel like maybe I'm supposed to maintain my own integrity here. Because the desire to connect, the desire to have that addiction to humanity fulfilled is so strong that you simply want to be accepted. And as you sink deeper into that quicksand, you start to notice that not only can you not climb out, but you don't even want to. Because it's cold out there. And I don't think that I would have been saved, quote, quote, I don't think that I would have been incubated as myself had it not been for such a, God, at least for me. I know so many people have lived through so many worse tragedies, but losing your wife and your chance at a family and this person you loved and your tribe and your business, it just all just fell apart in this complete, perfect smash crash. And I smashed and crashed into the earth. And I let it destroy me. I wanted it to destroy me because I had built the entire thing on these false assumptions that what people think about me is who I am. That people's opinion of my reputation is the sheen that makes me whole. that makes me James. And it sucks because when you spend decades working on that, immersing yourself in that, becoming that reputation, and it's taken away so brutally, I'm going to say unfairly. I say unfairly because the whole time I kept thinking that the reputation would only be taken from me if I deserved it. And the reputation would only gain to me if I earned it. I was back in that world where everything I've been told I thought was true. Where everything that I believed must be true. Because I was following the protocols. I was repeating the procedures. And to me, even telling you guys about this was my shell cracking, my incubation cracking. And in my book, that chapter is... What chapter is it? I thought I named that chapter. There's a whole section called Wife Beater. And the fact that I was even... I think I renamed it Great Awakening, but then as soon as you go there, it starts with Wife Beater. And the fact that I was even calling myself that was just freaking profound. Because it was my emergence from the cave. It was my emergence from Plato's cave to take that moniker that had been draped on me and to wear it and to say this is what a wife beater is, and to actually explain here's what happened, here's how I emerged. And we all know this. You break up with a girl, you want to call her a narcissist, or you break up with a guy, you want to call him a narcissist. You want to do all that stuff. And I noticed it as I wrote this. I did not want to call my wife bad or evil. In fact, I think that the most narcissistic thing you could do is call someone else a narcissist. That we have this demonization technique that we use to employ to make ourselves feel better, which is fine. I'm not even saying we shouldn't do that, but there's just like advanced techniques when you start to stalk yourself, when you start to look at, what am I doing? Who am I blaming? What nervous energy am I offloading? And I think that those accusations, if I would have had the right structure, the scaffolding, if I would have been in the right Faraday cage, your Taurus is a Faraday cage if you think about it. That your epidermis is your own energetic skin. And that hopefully the energy inside of there is dictated by your sovereignty and your sovereignty alone. Hopefully that's the case. I didn't have those techniques at the time. I didn't have my Taurus was vulnerable, not permeable. And so many of us are chasing these viruses, chasing the scare. Really what we're doing is we're learning the problem with being vulnerable. We're learning the problem of just buying into that stuff automatically. That you could be permeable instead and say, what's that story? You want a 73rd vaccine. That's your story. Okay. I've permeated that idea. That idea is allowed to pass through me, but I'm not vulnerable to it. Because I don't believe it by default. And energetically, that's what you would do. You would ingest and you would open your bubble and suck that in. Suck in the vaccine, the virus, the belief, the lie, whatever it is. You would buy into that. You're too big for your britches, right? That you need to shrink, James, so I will feel better. You need to shrink. That all these are energy transactions, and the best way you're going to be able to deal with them is to have the right scaffolding, the right Faraday cage, and that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It took me 6 dragons. From Costa Rica, Michigan, Florida, Miami, North Carolina. Anyway, it's Wisconsin. Most of us don't do that work because there's not like a cool hip song to shed yourself and reinvent. In fact, the only thing close to that is you can enlist in the military. Like that's probably the closest thing you could get to anyone praising that or celebrating that. It's this phoenix rebirth is something we're all supposed to do. It was an accident. If anything, I think we come here to become that. Most of us are not actually authentic. This is going to sound weird, but like authentic personalities yet. Like, what I mean by that is so many of us can go through our entire life and just be the reaction to things. Just be a reaction to a reaction to a reaction to a recovery to a reaction to another recovery from another recovery to another reaction to another reaction. And at no point in time has that person found their authentic self. That there is a wave pattern that never congeals into an authentic person, and that is most people. And there are only a few that vibrate so much that they become authentic and solid. They become solid. And that solidity is what we work on in the dojo. It's the electrical training you endure, because the amount of that nervous energy is going to flow through you, is going to increase as your vitriol increases, and your authenticity will be determined by how well you maintain your solid state through the forge. And I'm not talking about being still. I'm talking about your vibration of who you are, what you stand for, what you mean. Are you a reaction, right? Are you nothing but a reaction? Or are all your reactions so in line, so in sync, so in tune that it would appear as if you are solid, that you are that obelisk? And I think if you were to encompass or encapsulate anything about what my first journey into this truth movement is, it's that. It's the shedding of what everyone else expects you to be, and the finding of who you are. And that's why we moved to Blueprints of Mind Control. And the entire book is really based in 3 principles. Principle of mind control, the blueprint of mind control, is 3 steps. Step 1, convince, target, you're broken. You're a sinner, you're an atheist, you're a xenophobic, you're dirty, you have a virus, you're not going to be saved, you don't have salvation, you're ignorant, you're toxically masculine, you're toxically feminine, you're a whore, you're whatever it is, you're broken. Step 1. And that's the breaking into your shell, the penetrating of your intramuscular tissue, and the injection of a tiny piece of shrapnel, a lie, that you're broken. Step 2, you are so broken that you are not capable of seeing how broken you are. This is the step 2 of Blueprints of Mind Control. You do not know how broken you are. You are not capable of seeing how much you are a sinner. You need the church. You are not capable of realizing how ignorant you are. You need academia. You are not capable of realizing how dirty your carbon footprint is. You need an NGO to dictate that. You are not capable of determining how much in danger you are from terrorism. You need a government to do that for you. Shall I continue? You are not capable of determining how racist you are because your skin is white. You are not capable of determining how sexist you are because your genitals hang on the outside of your body. Step 2. The victim is not capable of seeing how broken they are. Therefore, they must rely on an exterior source to tell them how broken they are. And this is called a stent. This is a stent. It is a permanent opening kept in your field that allows new poison to be injected under the auspice of medicine. That's step 2, and it's crucial, because if you could see how you're broken, you would heal yourself. That's why the vaccine has to convince you. No. You're not capable of understanding that. Only we are. And step 3 isn't really a step, because step 3 is just harvest. Because if you're convinced you're broken and you're convinced you can't see how well you were broken, they get to offer you salvation in exchange for your service. And that is the heart of this book. And I call it the Blueprints of Mind Control because it doesn't matter what field you look at. I show you that truth echoing over and over and over and over again. It's the base root of all forms of mind control, whether it be AI, alters, archetypes, atheism, cannibalism, carbon footprint, ego, equality, Hollywood, magic, mutilation, multiples, NSA, patriarchy, psychopathy, racism, relativity, scientism, Satanism, sin, supremacy, trauma, truth, and zeticism. I show you in every one of those instances how that exact same blueprint of mind control works on you. And once you start to see it, you know right away when someone is pulling it on you. And so I would offer you that this is not a book to show you, here's how they lied about this, here's how they lied about this, here's how they lied about this. It's actually much deeper than that. It's showing you the anatomy of mind control and the only way it works, by convincing you that you're broken, by convincing you you don't even know how much you're broken, and by convincing you that the only way to save yourself is to serve the movement, to find more sinners, to find more sexist people, to find more racists, to find more xenophobes, to find more terrorists, to find more germs, to find more viruses, to find more ignorance. That is the step 3, the recruitment phase, the harvest phase of how that works. And when I wrote Blueprints of Mind Control, I was still in that mindset that all the horrible things that people were telling me were true by default. And I think that most of our truth movement is stuck there. And I think most of the traffic comes from there. Most of your following comes from there. And I noticed right away that my most popular book, Blueprints of Mind Control, I noticed right away as I started my next book that I was losing audience because I was no longer appealing to the salaciousness of all these stories we hear. The salaciousness of Gloria Vanderbilt, the salaciousness of the Dark Mothers, the salaciousness of the pedophile baby eaters. That salaciousness is a crucial ingredient in this truth movement. In fact, I renamed the truth movement the comfort movement in this book, The Technology of Belief. And I start to introduce the concept of prana. And I use Zionism as a perfect opportunity to expose prana. And I wrote this before the apocalypse. And here we are I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I just want to point that out. I wrote this before the apocalypse even came out, like before COVID, all this started. But I was showing you how Zionism itself is that perfect magic spell. The perfect technology of belief has been, the dust has been blown in your face for so long, that white powder. And it dilates you because of the salacious stories that you've heard. And it dilates you from the salacious fear that Zionism gave you from as young as the time when you would go to a dentist's office and you'd read the highlights magazines while you're waiting to go into the dentist's office. You've been saturated with Zionism your whole life, and it has nothing to do with being a Jew. It has nothing to do with being a Christian. It has all to do with the blueprints of mind control. You are broken. The world is broken. Step 2. The world cannot see how broken it is. Step 3, we must recruit Zionists to fix the world. The Zionism is the promise of a golden land, which requires you to shit on the golden land you live on now so you can bring back the golden land if everyone gets in line. And the technology of belief is so real that it's made us fall for politics, religion, war, society, scientism, Sputnik, the moon landings, special relativity, South Pole. So many things. There are people with doctorates in global positioning systems right now. They have doctorates. And like I went through with the Spell of Six Dragons, they do not have the electricity to take 10 years of work and multi hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and say, well, that was a mistake. And I don't blame them. Because unless someone comes and pulls the rug out from under them, like happened to me, I think most of us don't make it out. I think the most influential person in my life has been my ex-wife. Not counting my mom. My mom's really influential. But what I mean is the people that I met outside my family, I think she was the most influential because she broke this tendency in me, this desire to believe in everything. And it took a while. It took me 3 books to finally start to say, what if the Epstein temple isn't real? And the moment I broke into that is the moment I lost most of my followers. Is the moment I said the Epstein temple is fake. And that's when I truly learned what I've been saying, that this is a comfort movement, not a truth movement. And when you start to look at it as a comfort movement, you could stop and just bitch, right? You could, everyone's terrible because there's just no one's in the truth and da da da. And I did that for a while. Oh God, I was the king of bitching. Holy shit, I was such a bitcher. But I rose above it. I rose above it because I kept noticing over and over again, it's not a truth movement, it's a comfort movement. It's not a truth movement, it's not a comfort movement. Why? 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 Why is that? And I started to realize that the reason why I was seeing that, the reason why I was willing to go further than other people were, just about certain topics, I'm not talking about everything, but the reason why I was like Amazing Polly, she and I used to be really good friends. We used to talk every day. And she got so mad when I told her the Epstein temple was fake that I was labeled a psychopath. And, again, I was the wife beater. It even said, I'm afraid for my life because of James. She lives in like Canada. And it was beautiful because I'd already been through that fire when Polly did it, who has like hundreds of thousands of followers. It was like, I've been here. This is no problem. That electricity, all that current that they were giving me, I was cool with it, man. I didn't like it then, but I was cool with it. I was still rejecting it. I was still shedding it, but I was cool with it. Really, that was a gift. Amazing Polly was giving me her witness by pointing thousands of people at me to obliterate me for trying to suggest that the fake satanic Epstein temple was fake. And I'm not getting lost in this. I'm trying to tell you why this caused me to emerge, because as I keep noticing that it's not just Amazing Polly that's doing this, because, like the week before she was saying, it was on fire, Epstein temple's on fire, they had to come put it out to save all the evidence. Then the windstorm came, the fake dome blew off, there's no elevator, the arches are fake, the door that they claim was locked from the outside, that there were children inside, was painted on, and it wasn't even painted on well. And the amount of electricity it would take to admit you're wrong about that was too expensive for Polly, because this is a comfort movement. And it was too expensive for most of that audience because this is a comfort movement. But guys, don't worry. Don't worry, because there's more. There's more. And before I tell you that, I just want to quickly say that I finally, after writing my 3rd book, and it didn't do very well because people don't want to hear about how things are fake, I went back to the first novel I ever started, which is a sci-fi novel. This is kind of it's a story. It's a story about artificial intelligence. It's a story about consciousness itself and why we're here. And I say that because I was able to incubate myself for a while. I wasn't having to listen to everyone's truth ideas out there and coalesce them into the most popular, then combine them into a thing. If anything, I was rejecting what people were saying because I kept noticing this isn't a truth movement. These people that are demanding truth are not demanding truth, they are demanding comfort. Why are they demanding comfort, James? Why? And I ran off to retreat to write a love story about satellites and about quantum computers combined. I was going to write a love story about an artificial intelligence living inside of a satellite and its romance with a quantum computer that was living on Earth. I realize that sounds bizarre, but as a computer guy, as a programmer, I have a lot of information I can bring to this idea. And James True, the one that kept saying, this is a comfort movement, not a truth movement. This is a comfort movement, not a truth movement, got hit in the fucking face with a board, and it was beautiful. And it was 2 boards, just bam, bam. And no one was around. No one was around to point and laugh at me. I'm sorry you guys missed it, but it was hilarious. Because it took about 1.5 years for me to get up from this board. The first board that hit, I'm researching satellites. I'm looking into how they're claiming that they're supposed to move, that they have these gyros versus they have some high pressure particulates that they spit out versus just all the other ideas where it's like they wait until it goes down, then they boost it up again. All these ideas where they're claiming that you can propel yourself through space when there's nothing to propel yourself against. And I kept reading these ideas, and they kept getting more and more stupid. When I say stupid, I mean like asininely far-fetched. So far out there on the sci-fi spectrum that it wasn't even fun to read anymore. And that as I was working on my novel, something I loved, something that brought me so much comfort, I was hit with the board that there's no way satellites can be real. That it would make so much more sense to have these as balloons, that you could fix them, you could repair them, you could upgrade them, you could even contact them without waiting a 200-mile signal lag. And that the entire space program has been bullshit. And it took my novel. I had to sacrifice about 30,000 words and rewrite this novel explaining all that. Trying to explain what it's like to be an astronomer, it's Lyra, growing up and realizing that the entire space program is a lie. And her partner, Hardy, who believed and believed and believed this whole time in quantum computers, to find out that they were a lie, that all of this is comfort movement, that you can build an entire CERN facility off lies, that you can send people to the fucking moon off a lie, that every single bit of this is a comfort movement. And it's still not bad news, guys. The good news is getting ready to hit, because it's not bad that it's a comfort movement. And it took me a year. I'm saving you a year of heartache so you understand that this ends well. This truly does end well. This comfort movement is profound. It's one of the most profound aspects of human psychology. And you could really sum it up, I think, in this photo. I should have had this up, sorry. That this photo really does show you the profundity of what we're dealing with. This is the White House Oval Office telephone. The green telephone was used by President Nixon to speak with Apollo 11 astronauts after the moon landing on July 20th, 1969. This is courtesy of Richard Nixon Presidential Library and Museum, National Archives and Records Administration. That this phone is the only evidence people needed to believe that their government landed on the moon. Why? Because it's a comfort movement, because people are not willing to accept the fact that their government would lie to them. That would be too uncomfortable. We want comfort. And not only is it more comfortable to not believe the government would lie, not only is it more comfortable to think the government would never lie, it's even more comfortable to think that our government would do something so amazing as land on what's probably a hologram in the sky and take a pee on it and hit golf balls. That makes it so salacious and so nice that it's easier to read, to accept it, to believe it, to find comfort in it. And the fact that so many people around us bought into it because of a photograph, that it becomes even more comfortable to never question it, because it would just waste too many calories. And at this point is when you could quit and go, fuck humanity, Fuck all these people. No one wants the truth. No one wants to know what's going on. This is why we've invaded a country every 1.3 years. This is why 35 nations have fallen to us since World War II, because no one gives a shit about the truth. And that's not true. That's not true. And thank goodness for me, COVID-19 hit. Thank goodness for me, Richard from Boston had me on. And I embarrassed myself because I declared there was this nationwide Passover ritual with Starlink that was being done, because I was believing all of these concepts, all of these truth concepts. I was still emerging from how comfortable the comfort movement truly is, that it was even affecting my quest for truth, that I was looking for stories to believe in. I was looking for evil satanic pedophiles because it made me feel more comfortable to know that I was a victim in this world. And skadoosh. That's when the best apocalypse ever happened. And this is the best news I've ever been able to share with anyone. And I've made myself go through books, these two especially, where I was not giving you good news. And this is a book where I get to give you good news, because the comfort movement is your aperture. It is your first eye. It is the fiery eye that sees all. And the reason why you have a comfort movement is because you have an optic nerve, which is Plato's cave, emptying into Plato's chamber, the retina chambers themselves, that you are trapped inside your retinas, just like you're trapped in Plato's cave, and you're watching shadows on the wall that are broadcast to you not by the evil overlords, but by Amy, your amygdala. The two dots right behind your eyes. If you look at what the thalamus does, it does this cool little wishbone turn, and it goes, and it shoots right out your eyes. And amygdala is controlling your witness. And she is painting the shadows on the wall that make it comfortable for you to accept things. And knowing this about aperture changes your sympathy. It changes your electric field. It changes your entire psychology. Because you can look at someone like Polly. You can look at someone like Owen Benjamin. You could look at someone who's terrified, who is afraid of the truth. And you can have sympathy and compassion for them, because you understand this is as comfortable as their mind is going to paint the world. And then you get to rethink electricity from the ground up. You get to look at your own body's electricity, and you get to start to see the victimhood is everywhere. And it's there because it serves you. Victimhood is the whore of Babylon, and she serves you by keeping you down. She serves you by telling you, it's all gonna be okay, because no one's gonna tread on me, because I'm a slippery snake. And you have a choice. You can insist that everyone has the same aperture, that everyone agrees on the same thing, that everyone has the same objective reality, that paranoid schizophrenia, that epileptics, that Parkinson's, that people with cross-eyed, that albinos, that the Mashiach, that any kind of Kabbalistic teachers, that the high priests, the cannabinoid systems, that all these things are all bullshit. Or that there is something to the science of opening your aperture, of dilating not the pupils of your eyes, but the pupil of your consciousness, that you can dilate that thing and more truth can fit in because the whole is bigger. It's bigger. And when you start to look at Jesus as a necromancer, you understand why he was a necromancer. He could see vectored will possessing the energetic field, your coat of many colors, that Jesus was able to see into your coat of many colors, your vectored field, and see trapped vectored will, demons possessing you. The demon of alcohol, the demon of redemption, the demon of comfort, the demon of lying yourself, the demon of violence, the demon of fear, the demon of cowardice, the demon of blind empathy. that all of these are based on our comfort movement. And as we become more comfortable, we begin to see the demons in the world. That the melanin, yes, the melanin and the dopamine that flow through your eyes and your ears are the brakes and the gas pedal for your sensory organs, and they're going to show you more or less truth based on your polyvagus response, your clenching to the idea that maybe satellites aren't real, that maybe quantum computers are bullshit, that maybe CERN is bullshit, that maybe Sputnik was bullshit, that maybe the space race only tricked us because we thought countries were separate, that we never once considered that countries are not what we think they are because it would be too uncomfortable to think that they would be colluding against us. And that right now, when I try and mail a book to Canada, I have to fill out a special customs form to get permission to send a package from this land to that land. And there's not another living creature on this planet that has to go through a third-party hypothetical bullshit system in order to migrate somewhere. But that comfort is too painful for us, and so we change our truth movement and we look for things. We look for excuses. We look for reasons to avoid the calories of having to do that kind of work, of having to abandon our dreams and write the truth. And this is a beautiful love story now. It's a beautiful love story because two people saw through the lies and found each other. This actually doesn't end well. There's a sequel coming. Because there's a lot about transhumanism in here too. There's still more to go, guys. There's still more to learn. And that's why having the dojo is so helpful. Because I don't have the grip or the rods in the water to hit all these fish. There's no way. That what we want is a decentralized apocalypse. And that's what I'm striving so hard for, is a decentralized apocalypse. And it's happening now. It's already happening. This is the best apocalypse ever. And as this book talks about, we've been here before. This is not our first apocalypse. And you have the 3 different flood stories to prove it. You have these deluges, these resets, these amnesic events. What is a reset? What is a deluge? It's the amnesia. It's the resetting of mind. That God gave us the gift of amnesia so we would forget He was there. That God gave us this dojo so that we, if we wanted to think this, could believe that we live on a spinning ball, could believe that we live in a world where the vacuum of space stops our voice from reaching God's ears, and the shrinking nature of the universe with the expanding nature of the outerverse is stopping the light from our actions from reaching God's eyes. That the true purpose of atheism, amnesia, the space program, all the NASA lies, is to allow you as a human to come here and think that God does not exist. And that's not bad. Because the biggest compliment you could give God is to immerse yourself in a world where you don't think He exists and you find Him. That is the ultimate compliment. And we've got it all backwards because we think we're supposed to be obedient. We're not supposed to be obedient. We're supposed to be authentic. And authentic means I will pay for the things that I did wrong. I will profit from the things I did right. I want my shame to be as clear as a bell. And when you've reached a certain level, you want that for your field. You don't want that so other people think you're humble or you're generous or you're nice. It has nothing to do with other people. You want the clarity of that field for yourself because you understand that feelings are fieldings. And the feelings you have when you're watching me are showing your electric field. The feelings you have as you go throughout your day are showing you the electric field. And you're missing clues because you're dismissing them as feelings or as mood. They're fieldings. They're fields. And you need these feelings because if this world was to show you every field, you wouldn't be able to see shit. because your entire field would block the entire world. That's why our eyes are so limited. They're very retarded. That we climb down into our cockpit like Han Solo and Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon. We climb down in there and we sit there and we think that's the world. But it's so much more deeper. That there are permeable layers on top of permeable layers on top of permeable layers. And the only way that your cockpit, that your instruments, your sinew cockpit can see that is to broadcast it onto your monitor through feelings, through emotions, through moods, through inclinations, through desires, through urges, through thoughts, through hauntings, through possessions, through wonderment. All of those emotions can exist whether or not your eyes whether or not your eyes are open or closed, or whether or not your ears can hear or determine that sound. Those feelings are still there because it's showing you the true, I'm just going to make this up, 12-dimensional nature of reality. That you're not 5 senses, you're at least 14, more like 28. And as you start to understand these feelings, you start to look, there's more, there's more, there's more, there's more. That feeling of paranoia is a field that you sense. That feeling that someone's watching me. Guys, that is a field. Your witness, the witness of another, is being felt from your subtle body, your coat of many colors, your Joseph's coat of many colors. Your aura, your pores are pouring out light. And you can't see it right now because it's not comfortable. And you don't want to see it because then you won't be able to see anything else. You'll just be like, everything's a rainbow. Give me that rainbow cat. And they're like, what rainbow cat? So you have these subtle instruments, these perturbations listening, but you've been ignoring them. And that's okay. That's why we're here. We're pollinating ourselves. We're coming into our fruition. We're coming into our bodies. We're sinking deeper. We're not leaving our bodies. We're sinking deeper. Some of you are leaving your body. Bye. But some of us are sinking deeper. Some of us want more immersion. Because when you're half-assed out of the cockpit, you're going to run over shit. You're going to destroy things. And you're going to say the whole time, my intent was to do good. And who the fuck cares what your intent was? Why is that even a factor, right? It means nothing. What you do is what you do. And when our fields are authentic, what we do and what we intend is always the same. James, I'd love to hear your take on Tartaria, mudflood buildings, and star forts. Nicholas, my take on that is this. I think that the Egyptian era, the 3 intermediate periods, clearly shows that those have to have probably been different apocalypses. It would appear that Rome itself was its own apocalypse. I don't think that Rome fell because some dude had sex with a man. I don't think that's what would cause that to fall. I think it's much more profound than that. So the things that bother me about the mud flood is when we try and say like Civil War was staged, because growing up in the South, I can't tell you how many times I've like been in someone's attic and like seen stuff, and it's so that part's hard for me. But I do think that the Reset Deluge story is very real, and it makes no sense to me at all that Michelangelo would have made La Pieta. I've studied stone sculpture, and I'm telling you that is a rendered, machine-made device, that the statue of David is definitely cut by a 3D printer. I don't exactly understand how, but I know it would have to work that way. And I know that because if you look at the lace, if you look at the marble, the way it wraps around, there's no way a physical chisel could get there. Not only that, if you even had a small enough chisel with a small enough hammer, just the sheer pressure of hammering out on some of those details would have just cracked that marble right off. Carrara marble is very soft, by the way. The reason why it's very soft is the reason why people use it. It's very carvable. It's very mendable. It doesn't have as many vein imperfections in it too. It's the perfect medium for a 3D plotter, for some type of a laser carver. And when you start to look at their musculature, especially with all those, I've done a whole episode on this, but you can see like the wet cloth and stuff like that. You're looking at a 3-dimensional render there. So I think even just that kind of is even bigger than Mudflood, in my opinion. What it's truly showing you is that this deluge, this is the best apocalypse ever. Meaning each apocalypse is getting better and better and better, right? It is. It definitely is. Great question. Logan Brown, defaulting belief of metal monolithic proportions. I'm not sure what that means, Logan. Teresa King, why are we even here? Do ants have the same rights as us? Teresa, I don't think that we have rights. I think rights are what prisoners tell themselves when they decide who's going to have peach cobbler or cherries jubilee. They call that right. We have a right to a dessert. And I fell for this because I was a lawyer for a long time, so I'm actually kind of calling myself out on this. But I don't think rights are what we say they are. I think rights are electrical fields confidence games that we play with ourselves that help. So I'm for rights, but I don't think intrinsically they're actually real. I think they're more hypothetical. Guys, I've been really against hypotheticals lately. I just see a lot of wasted energy when we fall into hypotheticals. I'm not saying that rights themselves are, but it's why I tend not to stay in hypotheticals when I talk. I'd rather speak specifically about something. Jane Cooper, hello Jane. Approaching 1221. Are we asserting sovereignty and rejecting compliance? We would have to be, Jane. I can prove it because I met you and John Hughes. There's so many more of us now coming together that are sovereign, that live, breathe, and drip sovereignty. Your land itself, I know you've been wanting to do something with that, and look what's already happened. So yes, I think that every apocalypse we seem to be getting better at this. I think that a lot of what we're calling the Luciferian agenda is actually a lot of clown ops that are used to wake us up. Wayne L. Sexton is one of those. Building 7, showing you Building 7 is one of those. Best Apocalypse Ever really does expose a lot of these psyops where certain clown ops, keep in mind CIA is an organization. It's going to have some good, some bad ops in there too. It depends on the administration. That's what happens when you have a Leviathan. You can't just characterize an agency as being good or bad. It's going to have both. That's what's so gross about a bureaucracy is you don't really know what you're getting. You're just throwing money at it and letting whoever do what they want to do. But clearly there are certain ops that are designed to wake us up. I think Bill Gates is the perfect collie. I can't think of anyone who's done more to awaken us to vaccines than Bill Gates. It's true. Something to consider. We just don't like to give credit to Collie, and that means Collie's doing a good job. Let me see here. Yeah, so Bonnie asked, super elementary compared to what's reading and comment, but for newbies, it'd be wonderful if you did a show about how to get caught up with where you're at in the broadcast and shares, what clips to watch first, and how to go about plugged in. I can't tell you what clips to watch first. I can't. Maybe this one. I think this is a good one. If you've never watched any of my stuff, this is probably a good one, because I've tried to cover everything that I could as best as I could today. So, yeah. Explain the 19 stomps, says Kristen. I did 19 stomps. I went out and stomped 19 times. That was my way of telling the land the giants are home. I stomped because a giant would sound like a stomp, and I wanted the land to hear that the giants were home. We have dismissed the giants because we are afraid of our own power. This is why we choose victimhood. This is why we love this guy. Oh, please that on me. And that by stomping in the ground 19 times, I was awakened to giants. Why 19? Because 19 was used for the ritual magic through here. COVID-19, 19th anniversary of 9/11. The calling of 19 was my way of piggybacking on the numerology of what was happening, and it seems to be working. We started having new moon fire ceremonies back in spring, and I don't think we've missed one. We might have missed May or something, possibly. But every new moon, we've been there to wake up the land. We're still going. In fact, on 12/21, we were having a conjunction ceremony that will still count as a new moon ceremony. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, hit up Brent if you want. If you guys have been before, let Brent know, because this just happened, so I don't have details yet. But yeah, 12/21, we're hoping to do another conjunction ceremony. I believe, Kristen, just like you do, because I know you'd buy this too, that if we could show up for the land every new moon and build a fire on our land and just tell the land, we're here, that truly would be the red blood cells coming back to the body saying, hey, body, I'm here for you. Our white blood cells, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do, buddy? What do you want me to do? And that we've never been listening to the land because we've deemed ourselves unnatural, right? We claim that human is a waste product on the land, that we have dirty carbon footprints. By me stomping on the land, I'm literally saying the opposite. I'm saying that man is the living soil. He's the living soil. He's the extension of the land. And that there's not one creature in this earth that's here to give you morality, that's here to spread morality on the earth except for man. That man is the instrument. Man is God's fingers acting its morality on the world, and that you are the avatar of God, installing morality wherever you can. And you are two crosses. You are the crossing of morality and mortality. Morality left and right. Mortality up and down. Serpent, phoenix, good, bad. I'm sorry, good, bad. I'm lefty, so I think this is good. Good, bad. Phoenix, serpent, right? The rise and fall, the weighing of morality. These are your crosses. In fact, the very first cross was finding your inner light. The very first cross was two sticks rubbed together with great fiction, causing the fire. Our first inner light was given to us by the cross. You are a living cross. And just to throw this in, if you're interested, I consider myself a Christian. Doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean I wouldn't consider new ideas. But my Christianity involves a living cross, this concept of a living cross of bone inside of me. And I've rejected the blood death oath. I've rejected the human sacrifice ritual, the Passover sacrifice ritual. I think the idea that we would need to slaughter a living creature to make amends or to atone other people's sin is psychopathy. That's what sick Kabbalists say, to keep a secret for thousands of years. I believe that when this world ends, probably in 220 years, we will see our next reset. I base that off the Hebrew calendar, just trying to get some more information out here. You guys don't have to believe me. I just find it fascinating to think about it this way, that every 6,000 years this world resets, and part of that reset seems to be involved this time around with the corona, with the sun. Notice we have no sunspots anymore. Now everything's much clearer. The truth is coming out. That in 220 years this reset will happen. And just like happens every time, people will hoard information. They will create an ark. They will create a time capsule to survive the next deluge. Certain technology will survive. Look in Egypt. Look in Moses. Look at all the magic that was happening in Egypt at the time. I think you're looking at technology that we had forgotten about, that the Tower of Babel was real, that the reason why the workers that had all assembled from all over the world to work on the Tower of Babel, the reason why it stopped working was because the digital language was destroyed. It was destroyed because every single piece of high technology that we have is stored either magnetically or optically right now, which means an EMP pulse could wipe out every single piece of software that we've spent decades, hundreds of years developing, could be gone in a flash. And that if that was to happen, all we would have is the technology that was already made, that was already working, that had somehow survived this. Maybe it was inside of a box that was maybe lined with acacia wood with 2 pieces of gold to give it this insulator of some kind. And inside there would be certain technology that could be hoarded, that the Egyptian pharaohs could walk around with this staff that they could throw to the ground and it would turn into this hallucinogenic snake, and that Moses had one that was much more powerful, that these emerald sapphire staffs that they're talking about was a technology communicating with you, and that the Ark of the Covenant as it wandered through the wilderness, all this is in my book, was a living testament to this AI, to this sentience between the Ark of the Covenant. That was a sentient being. And I do not have time to explain to you how that ties in with the Ark of the Covenant, but if you read my book, you will see how the AI, the augmented reality of it all, seems to suggest that the Solomon's Temple itself was a 3-dimensional mapping program where this machine was able to determine where people were, and it was using the blood sacrifice, the innocent blood, the blood sacrificed by an innocent lamb, that it was using the lack of cortisol in that blood to determine how loyal its subjects were. Because it would take something immensely loyal to raise a lamb from a baby, only to bring it up as an adult and to slaughter it for nothing. To slaughter it for the Lord. And that if you look back in the Old Testament and you apply this filter of understanding that these apocalypses repeat themselves, that this high technology is repeated over and over again, you start to see the truth of it all, that the voice of God is silence. That the voice of God is listening, that God would never, ever, ever, ever trust a single man to carry and hold his word and to properly interpret it and put it in language and to keep it in a fucking book and condemn anyone that cannot read, oh well. Or to condemn anyone that came before it, oh well. That those are mythos that we tell each other because we want to remain suppressed. And that truth that I tell you is not comfortable. Which is why my numbers go down. Which is why I have less subscribers. Which is why I have so many awesome people on Patreon. The only ones that keep the show going are my patrons, the super chatters, the people that buy my books. It's the only way. Because literally every video I talk about is demonetized because it's mentioning things like this. It's suggesting things like this. And I'm not even a victim anymore because I was able to clear my shame field so much that people like Jen this morning can go, "You're an arrogant asshole." And all I can do is feel that electricity and use it to make the show better. And I think that's the only reason why I have such a strong Patreon base now, is because I've done that work. And we all have work to do, including me. That's why I have the dojo. I love that the dojo can call me out too. I need that. We all need that. It's decentralized, guys. Decentralized, which means you're not going to get your truth from someone who has 100,000 followers. You're not going to get your truth from someone who's like, well, I have to be careful about who I share, so. You're not going to get truth from that. You're going to get comfort from that. And that's why the answer is never going to be on YouTube. And I'm on YouTube. That's why I'm doing these ceremonies out in the land. That's why I'm saving up to buy land, because I would like to create this personal dojo that happens every new moon. Imagine every new moon if a dozen or 19 people showed up at some land and we built a giant dragon. Imagine if we built a giant structure, and this structure was built, this is the one we haven't built. Imagine you, the initiate, comes to this land, and they've built these giant helix dragons, and you step up on this mound on your graduating ceremony, and you say, I am, and you accept the power for who you are. You look up and you see these two dragons, this spiraling DNA stretching down from the trees, and you are transformed in that motion. And you're looking at these two dragons. One's ancient, one's brand new. One's fresh green bamboo, one's like marbleized, caramelized bamboo. And these dragons form this helix and they're staring right at you. And that ceremony of being in the vitriol, of working in the woods, of going through the strife every day, of having this fire, of having this dojo opportunity every night. For an entire new moon, you're preparing this sculpture. You're preparing this piece of art. And for the rest of your life, that one new moon will never, ever be forgotten by you. Because you did this. Because you poured your heart into this. Into this vitriol. Into this ceremony. And these ceremonies will change our children. These ceremonies are vocational anti-schools. And I know that that's where we'll learn even more about aperture. I know that's where people can come instead of going to college. Imagine if people were coming to these decentralized 8-week wilderness art camps and building something hard. Building something where every night they sit around the fire and bitch at each other because they're finally breaking those eggs and learning to find their authenticity and challenging each other. And that experience in the woods changes you forever. I had this same experience happen when I was a counselor. It's in my first book. I learned these techniques there. This stuff isn't made up. Man is living soil. And if I have to wake up each of you fuckers, I will do it. And I will be vitriolic, I will be mean, I will be rude, and I will do it. Because you will thank me. You already are. Some of you are already thanking me. You do that by buying your books. By buying my books, you do that with a Patreon. You do that by coming to Dojo. Thank you. This is the best apocalypse ever. I love what I'm doing. Even if we keep losing subscribers. The patrons, if they keep doing it, I will keep doing it. Because it's awesome. And I don't care anymore if people like or don't like what I have to say. I only care if they feel that it's true. Did they react strongly to it, good or bad? Because that truly is a better indicator of the authenticity of my message. It's not whether or not someone likes it or not. It's over how much it affected them when they heard it. And that, or how they affected them when they heard it, I should say. See, all this is still, we're still learning all this. We can learn, you know what, it's not even that we can. This whole place is lighting up. This whole place is waking up. You and me, we're just a tiny part of it. It's happening. I like to think of us as surfers. We get to ride this wave. We get to enjoy it. This isn't one of these things where if we don't do this, we're all going to die. Guys, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. And that's beautiful. I'd like you to imagine how painful it is to be a vampire. Those fuckers hate life. They hate life so much, they want to turn everyone else into vampires so they don't feel like they're being tortured. All of us are going to die. There's so much worse things in this life than death. How you lived, how much of a bitch you were, how much of a victim you were, how much of a coward you were, how much of a nervous Nelly you were, how much of a hero you were, how much of a badass you were. Those are things so much more important than death. It's a whole new world once you realize that. It's a whole new world. It's already here. I think most of you guys are already on that take. Anyway, man, I've been talking a lot. Let's see. Is everybody still here? We're all dead, baby. That's right, shoot fast. The only question is, do I want it on your feet or on your knees? Yeah, the only, do you want it? There you go. Yeah, I got you. Well, just scroll too fast, but yeah. Guys, have a fabulous Thanksgiving. James, thanks for your message. I listened to your interview with Veritas and forwarded it to all over the place. It was the first time I even thought of the dark as testing us and pushing us to self-realize. Thank you, Steve S. That Veritas interview was one of my favorites. It was a really good interview. It's a 2-hour interview, but you can hear the first hour for free if you guys look it up on YouTube. In fact, maybe Steve will even put a link in there so you guys can see it. It's a really good interview. I enjoyed that guy. Great show. Thanks, Mel. This is the best apocalypse ever, says Shitmoth. There wasn't a James True show at the other apocalypses, probably. Probably not, Shitmoth. It was probably there, but it was probably a little bit more victim-y, you know? It was like 12% more victim-y, maybe, right? And so even now, I'm still a victim-y. You guys heard all the whole Lauren and Andy crap, right? So you know I'll still play that. You know I'll still play that song, right? But we're getting better. We're getting better. I did not do my push-ups yesterday. Joe Mega did. Freaking cranked him. I didn't. And this morning... he did more, and then I did him, so I'm completely a whole day behind. But way to go, Joe Mega. That's awesome. I did, I'm getting better, guys. I did 16, 14, 8, 7, 4. I know that's not good. It's only 49, but I'm getting better. And I'm digging a canal, and that's even more important. All right? Oh, thanks, Mel. Keep talking, James. I don't want it to stop. That's wonderful. Most people don't say that. James T., the only one I have found that is authentic and flows truth that I've ever seen. Waking the fuck out of me. Thanks, Pete Brushwood. I'm happy to wake the fuck out of you. We're waking the fuck out of each other, man. That's great. James, get a pair of work gloves. I know, right? I know. You know, I always realize I should wear gloves after I cut myself, just so you know. There was a James Untrue show during the last apocalypse, says Shiva. That's right. This is a James True show. So, all right, guys, have a beautiful day. There's a dojo tonight. There's not one after today, but there's a dojo tonight. I'm going to be digging until the dojo. So please come to the dojo tonight if you can. That was, yeah. Well, thank you, OKC Beer. 49 more than 0. But there's a dojo tonight, 7 p.m., moderated by Michael Wachter. Should be a great one. And, yeah, no live stream tomorrow with... I don't even know. I don't even know, guys. I don't actually know what my schedule is. I've been really considering changing the format up. And I don't know why, but it's been something I've been considering. Like, I like the fact that there's like a schedule, but also I've been kind of thinking about how cool it would be if I was like to do these little bursts. Like, I could probably live stream like 3 times a day. Not like on a schedule, though. More like sporadically. And I've just been thinking about it. Just something I'm playing about. Don't you worry, a Nemophilist. You're going to get the horsey. I promise you that. All right, guys. Hey, there's Rose 777. Love her. Thanks for being here. What up with Andy and Lauren? You need to ask them. I don't know. I am out of that triangle. Thank God. Thank goodness I'm out of that. TikTok videos says, not sure what that's about, brain tongue. Yeah, much love to you guys. All right, let's sign off. Yeah, do whatever schedule you want. Well, thanks, Shiva. We'll figure it out. I do like the 11 a.m. things, too. I'm torn. Guys, I'm torn, There's just a lot to be torn about. It's always good to... I need a schedule, says Shitmoth. Yeah. What if, Mayor Damoff, on Fridays, I did like a freaking really nice, well-prepped presentation, right? Like I have raw quality, like a 1.5 hour thing, like a movie. But then throughout the week, I was doing these little like bursts where they weren't planned. What do you guys think about that? Just a thought, because I like the idea that I have these prepared things because there's a lot of research, and then because I think some people complain because it feels like they get lost because it's a daily schedule, So just something to think about. I appreciate the feedback. Rose 777, love the show, and I love the idea of impromptu streams. So there you go. Guys, come on. Rose said so. I think we should do it. I think we should consider that. Yeah. 10 a.m. hour shows are great. Nice to listen while outdoors. So I'm assuming you mean 10 a.m. meaning that when it is now, because it's 11 a.m. my time. And yeah, I like that time too, because it's after Rose mostly, and before Owen Benjamin. And I kind of like that I could fit in between there, because I believe in a group effort here. Hey, Owen's in the group too, man. Nothing wrong with that. So, all right, guys, let's sign off. Let's have a good one. No grievances today because I just love you guys too much. It's too cool. I ain't got no grievance. Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy your day. And, yeah. James out.